Good evening. An emergency government meeting is taking place tonight to discuss progress on what's being called the biggest cyber attack of its kind. NHS computer systems and machines around the world were crippled on Friday after an attack of malicious software the EU's law enforcement body has called unique. Companies including Nissan and Hitachi were also affected by the attack, raising questions about the cybersecurity of businesses and their customers. Well, this is what happened on Friday. 47 NHS trusts in England were initially affected by the cyber attack, and 13 NHS organisations in Scotland experienced disruption. Around the world, Europol has said that more than 200,000 machines were affected in 150 countries in Friday's attack. Rob Holmes is Vice President of Products at Proofpoint, a cybersecurity company whose researcher helped bring a halt to last week's attack. So, Rob, you've been working solidly over the weekend. What's the current state of affairs?
The current state of affairs is that we have put out the fire, we believe. Then it's a matter of containing that to make sure there aren't any secondary attacks. We think we're in pretty good shape. We will not be complacent about that. But then we will look at the whys and the wherefores and try and prevent this happening in future.
Now, one of your researchers was responsible for discovering this kill switch that stopped the infection spreading further. But is there a danger that another version of this malware without a kill switch is out there somewhere and that could wreak havoc in the future?
There's not just a danger, that is clear and present in its danger. So we have already seen variants of this without a kill switch. Fortunately, the variant that we've seen, the ransomware did not actually execute properly, which is the silver lining of this. But we feel that it's only a matter of time before the more professional and skilled cyber criminals will develop a variant that will detonate.
And that will presumably have greater longevity and do more damage.
Well, one hopes that by that stage, the patches have been installed in the relevant vulnerable operating systems, such that actually the fact that this propagates so wildly across a network is moot, because actually it'll just remain on the individual computer and people have their backups in place for quick restore.
So you mentioned the patches. I mean, clearly the system, the operating system that seems to have been at fault here is Microsoft XP. I mean, are businesses at fault for continuing with this software? I mean, Microsoft stopped offering support for this quite a while ago, didn't they?
They did indeed, yes, years ago. I would first of all actually give credit to Microsoft for the fact that they actually did something quite exceptional over the weekend, is they actually issued patches for unsupported versions, indeed, including Windows XP. So I would actually give them credit at this point in time. It becomes a question of economics. For how long do you continue to support previous versions of software? Therein lies the balance of the argument.
So Microsoft have actually behaved quite altruistically over the weekend?
In my opinion, definitely.
Right, although presumably they make more money in the longer term if people upgrade from XP to their current packages.
They are an important entity in the world of internet services and business services.
So what happens then if I'm a business and I'm hit by another outbreak of this sort? I mean, what do you actually do? I mean, certainly here at Sky News we were all told to reboot our systems this morning, for example.
Yeah, so I mean, first thing, if you are targeted with ransomware and you boot your computer and you see the dreaded screen asking for money, do not pay that ransom. That's the first thing. The second thing is actually I would encourage you not to immediately reboot. Go and see somebody in your IT security team, because there are different strains of ransomware that will actually play on the fact that you reboot and infect deeper into the operating system.
Right. I should point out here, Sky News wasn't hit by this, but
yes.
So we shouldn't actually reboot.
Yeah, I would say the first port of call is to go to see your IT security team. My hope is that actually this has been a real wake-up call for businesses, that they have now a greater mantra about updating patches, and this is hopefully a shot across the bows.
Now, Jeremy Hunt, the Health Secretary, came on the airwaves today for the first time since this all started and basically accused Labour of politicising the event. But is there a case for actually saying the government was at fault for not equipping the NHS to see off this kind of attack?
Very difficult to say, and I'll leave the politics to the politicians. What I will say is that this is a business challenge. Businesses are faced with risks from morning until night. The question is that risk sufficiently above your tolerance for risk that you should do something about it? My hope is that this illustrates that cybercrime is something that businesses should take very seriously and invest in accordingly.